Martians landed?
Yes.
Wearing Prada suits?
Yes.
Drinking Henry Seltzer?
Yes.
Chewing juicy fruit?
Yes, and?
Your branding here?
Yes, brand.
Your message here?
Yes, and?
A verse about?
Yes.
Your product here?
Yes.
I'm Hirsch Redmond.
Yes, and?
I'm a message therapist.
Yes.
And I have a podcast.
Yes, brand.
That's right, that's it.
Yes.
We'll help you fix the world.
Yes.
Or your bottom line.
All right.
Your bottom line.
Get it. I get it. Welcome to the Yes Brand Podcast.
In the hot seat today on Yes Brand is Thomas Trautmann. Thomas is the founder of Happy Brains, and he trades in ethical persuasion, a combination of science and ethical persuasion. And he's the author of the book, Is There a Brain in Your Couple? And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about neurocoupling and all kinds of other things. But I'm really excited to have you on the show, Thomas.
Well, thanks, Josh. I'm looking forward for this conversation.
It's great to have you. So let's begin with Happy Brains and how you came to create this kind of concept that you now teach in workshops. You write about it in books. Tell me how it started for you.
It started a long time ago. The origin of Happy Brain comes from 2 years back. I was a certified neuromarketing instructor, and neuromarketing is about implementing neuroscience into marketing and sales. And it's something that works extremely well. And I had a passion for neuromarketing because it made a lot of sense based on my past as an artificial intelligence scientist, as a marketing guy, a sales guy, a company founder, stuff like that. And what I found interesting in neuromarketing is that it targets the brain. So it pays attention to the human being. Unfortunately, when you get trained on neuromarketing, you get information for your company to improve the marketing, the sales of your company, but you don't learn something for yourself. And one evening, talking with my wife, the word humanity came out. And we said that, yes, neuromarketing is missing humanity. So that's why I decided 8 years back to say, okay, I'm going to create my own thing, which is ethical persuasion, where in fact, for the workshops I'm giving, the coaching I'm giving, we start first to learn something for ourselves. And then we can implement that in our everyday life, in our business, in our sales, marketing strategy, all that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And so often we solve our own problems, and then we come upon what we're hoping to do. It's funny because we have a new rescue animal named Mickey, and at some point I hope that people can see on YouTube, because he needs some ethical persuasion. He needs to have the solution that he already knows he needs, but I need to convince him to actually choose it, because otherwise he won't. I apologize. But so now let's talk about the business side of how this helps people get the things that they need or may not know that they need.
Usually what I say is that my saying is that I help business owners to increase their revenue by 30% in 90 days or less, because they use the science of ethical persuasion. In fact, ethical persuasion, the definition I give is that you get from the people the decisions you want while they make the decision they need. That's why it's ethical, It's not manipulation, it's not coercion, it's not influence, it's not persuasion itself, it's ethical persuasion, which means that in fact, to get there, you need to understand what triggers a decision in the other person's brain.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the thing. One of the challenges that I think a lot of us face in the business world is that we equate sales with manipulation. We think we're manipulating someone into buying something, when in fact we're merely creating a union between what they need and what we have.
Yes, well, that's the new way of thinking about that. But before, I mean, based on results or on quotas and stuff like that, sales became something that was very manipulative. And some
Yeah.
people do it. And you can still find it on the internet, you know. They use the rules of influence given by Robert Cialdini, one being urgency, you know. There are only two seats left at that
Right.
price.
Right.
Or
Pain.
it's the last iPhone, whatever, at that price, you know. So I'm going to get it because that's a bias, a cognitive bias our brain has, which is I prefer to have something that's bad now than something that's good later. Because the
Right.
decision maker in the brain doesn't know about the future. The part of the
Right.
brain making the decisions is living in the present, is in fact living in a 7 seconds window. So what I can get during those 7 seconds, I get it. So you can play with that, but that's not ethical. So
Yeah.
of course, you may sell faster by manipulating people. I agree with that. In a world where everything goes faster, it's easier to go that way, but you will sell it once. If you want to create and a business is about, you know, getting recurring customers, working with them. I mean, I'm going this week, I'm going to give a workshop to one of my clients. The first workshop was 5 years ago. And he told me, Thomas, you have to come back. We need you again. 5 years. Who has the patience to wait 5 years
Right.
nowadays, you know?
Right.
So,
Right.
but the fact that I use ethical persuasion makes them call me back. You know?
Yeah.
Some do it faster. 5 years is an extreme example, but it just shows that you stick in their mind. And that's what's
Yeah.
important. That's how you create recurring business.
Now, what are some very simple starting points if someone wants to understand more about this?
Where to start from or what to do, would you
What
mean?
to do? What to do? Yeah.
Well, what to do, there is a very simple technique. It's a very hard one. It's what I call use the you language. Instead of saying, well, Hirsch, let me talk about my product. Let me talk about Happy Brains. Dear Hirsch, you can from now on, you will need this. You will, you. You have to convert everything you write, say, do in the you language. When I say it like that, it sounds super easy, right? Try
Yeah.
it. It's not that easy because your own decision maker, every decision maker in the brain is self-centered. It has interest for only one person in the world, itself. So when you want to persuade someone, somehow you are auto-persuading yourself. So you focus on yourself, while the other one focuses on her or himself. That's a conversation that's going nowhere, you know? They may
Yeah.
make the decision to get something from you or buy from you just to get rid of you. But if you start to pay attention to talk the you language, it changes the connection you have with people. So that's the first thing that people can try.
Yeah. And then, in your seminars, for example, what are some of the topics that you cover?
I use what I call the ethical persuasion formula, which has 4 parameters. And we go through those 4 parameters, how to use them, how to maximize ethical persuasion. And the first one is called the subconscious frustration, because that's the decision trigger in the brain, is to find the subconscious frustration that you can remove with your services, your products, or with whatever you want to do.
Well, now some people will say that we'll use pain points as a tenet of, sales. In other words, they'll say, well, you have to
Yeah.
find the customer's pain points. Is this something like that?
No, I use on purpose different words because very often pain points, people will assimilate pain points to the business. For example,
Mhm.
we don't sell enough. We the company is not growing fast enough. I can't find the right employees. Stuff like that. Those are business pain points. But the decision maker is in the brain, is in a human brain, in a human being. So you have to understand what that human being is driven by at the subconscious level. And it's not the revenue, it's not the business, it's not the employees. It may be reputation, it may be time with the wife, it may be the risk of a divorce, it may be how my father thinks about me or talks about me, it may be how I look in front of the other women in the group I am. Those are human subconscious frustrations. You see, it's very, very different. So
Yeah.
you have to understand, and those are, we have many subconscious frustrations, many. But when you try to get a decision from someone, you have to find the one that you can trigger and remove, because that's the idea, is that's where it becomes ethical. You trigger the decision because that's the decision you want. And by removing that subconscious frustration, you help that person. That's why you become ethical.
So this is much more about, mindset, the mindset of the client, or, who you're trying to help. What are we, what's getting in our own way? What's kind of holding us up from the decisions in a way?
Eh, in a way, but we're really at the decision level. Let me give you an example to better understand. If let's say you have the same haircut as I have, or you are losing hair, and you want something that grows your hair back. The traditional way of selling will be with that shampoo, your hair will be back. But that's not my subconscious frustration. Just to answer my subconscious frustrations, at the next party, you are going to be the focal point of attention. People are going to want to talk to you. I'm not talking about your hair, but that's the way to get to that solution that people talk to you is going through your hair because you have a nice haircut, whatever.
Yeah.
See,
So
it's
it's
very different.
yeah. So it's actually, if I'm understanding now, the greater goal that I may have is what you're going to talk to me about.
It it's one of these, yes, but you have many.
Yes. And then also, I had noticed that you were at one point creating a solution for the married business owner in the NeuroCouple. I mentioned it in my
Yeah,
intro, in the NeuroCouple and the ethical persuader systems. That's interesting to me.
yeah. I'm married and I'm a business owner. So I said, who can I help? And I said, yeah, well, married business owners, definitely, because I understand their pain, how they suffer. And while I was creating the ethical persuader, I also paid attention to how male and female brains work. Because as I always say, the fact that there are still couple therapies and divorce lawyers means we still haven't sorted the problem. We still haven't solved that problem. So when you look at the human brain, they are the male and female brains are extremely different. I mean, when you look at the female body, you know it's a female body. You look at the male body, you know it's a male body. You can even differentiate the hands, the shoulders, stuff like that. But
Sure.
if I pull two brains out of the brain buckets, a male and a female, and I put them side by side, you cannot differentiate them. But they are wired very differently. They have
Tell me about it.
area. Yeah, it is said that we have two hemispheres in our brain, two sides that are connected by something called the corpus callosum. It's a set of wires, if I want to make it simple. It seems that that wiring is more efficient in the female brain than in the male brain, which means that they can multitask, which we cannot do, or not as much. I'm talking very generic here,
Yeah, of
okay? Of course,
course.
there are always people who can, you always find someone who's better than the other ones. But generically speaking, for example, language, that has an impact on language. Women handle language in the whole brain, while we handle the language in our left prefrontal, in our left
I'm
side of the
assuming.
brain.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have a more specific language than women. For example, I love it because I always say my wife and myself, we are the perfect lab rats for all this. We are the perfect stereotypes of what a woman is and what a man is. And when my wife comes home, it's just, the house is disgusting. And then when I come back home, I say, oh, there is dog hair on the floor. It's the same thing. The result is the same. We have to clean the house. So you have things like that. Now, a trick that can help you, your listeners, is because we men use language on that left side of the brain, which happens to also be where we manage sexual intercourse, we can either talk or act, while women can do both. That's why women often say, during intercourse, or talk to me, say me something, and the gentleman grunts a word, say, I love you, or you like it, and then he goes back, because
Yeah.
if we talk, well, that's the good trick, is that if you talk, you last longer.
Yeah.
So
But it's
guys, try it,
interesting.
or ladies, make him talk.
Yeah,
If they
yeah,
help.
but it's interesting because when you first mentioned, multitasking, I thought, well, men can multitask, but there's also what we think we're accomplishing and what we're really good at,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What do you think of that notion that we, men possibly perceive that we can do certain things as well, but we don't necessarily have the neuro dynamics to
Yeah.
to accomplish it, right?
We are not as good. I mean,
Yeah.
there is something I really love is the eyes. Women always see men when they are ogling. You know,
Uh-huh.
women do ogle as much as men, by the way. The major difference is that the angle of our vision field is completely different. Yes, the evolution made us men hunters, so we have an extremely narrow and long sight, while women, being the social element of the group, have a wider field of vision. So
Yeah.
when we see an attractive woman, we are obliged to turn our head to look at her, while women don't need to turn their head to look at the very gorgeous man that just passed by. So that's one problem we have. We see colors in a very different way. Women see more colors than men because the back of the eye, you have light receptors at the end, at the back of our eyes. Around the optical nerves are the rods, which are specialized in black and white and low light levels. The male eye has more of them than the female eye, while the cones that are made especially for color identification are in higher number in the female eye than in the male eye. Why? Because we as hunters, we need night vision, while women being, I'm talking about evolution here, right?
It's
Women being the core of the tribe somehow need to recognize if my skin changes color very subtly. Maybe I'm sick. Maybe I'm too hot. Maybe something's going on. Maybe that fruit that's orange is better than the fruit that's pink orange. I'm sure there is a name for that color. And
right,
that we for us men, it's gray, black, white, red, period.
right.
I love that example. One day in a parking with my wife, we passed by a car and I said, wow, that's a lovely gray color. And she tells me, no, darling, that's not gray. That's roses ashes.
Ah.
I didn't
Well,
even know that color exists.
this is also funny because I have two sons, but I also have three daughters. And the
Okay.
three daughters are the younger ones. There's two still at home. And my wife and daughters are constantly telling me how I'm colorblind
Yeah.
because I don't necessarily see these different shades of colors, and rose is a good example, teal, you know all these different shades, and I may have in reality some color deficiencies, but I think that there's something to this because
Yeah.
it's something that they point out, and they're usually these nuances, these shades.
Yeah. So it's all related to our evolution. That's what's very funny.
Yeah.
And yeah. And if people who still doubt about that, look at car accident statistics.
uh
Men have accidents during the day and they are side accidents. Most of accidents that happen when people drive a car when they are male are accidents that are coming from the sides,
Side.
while
Okay.
most accidents happening to women happen during the night and are either front or rear accidents. It's
Uh-huh.
directly connected to our vision, how it's working, and how the brain runs it.
Yeah, and you'll also hear sometimes women saying they don't like to drive at night. My mother-in-law will say she doesn't like to drive at night.
Yeah,
So, I also want to talk for a moment about the branding side. As we've discussed, that's of particular interest to me. I always ask, how are you getting the word out about your Happy Brains brand? Obviously, you're on podcast, you're doing things like that, and you're getting known through your workshops and speaking. But how do you get this message out from the point of view of your brand?
I share as much as possible. I think I'm publishing sometimes from 5, 6, 7, 8 times per day on all networks
Right.
because I mean, you have to fight against the noise. You know, very often people say, yes, but my competition does this, does that. Your competition isn't made of people who do the same thing or close to what you do. Your competition is the current elections in the USA.
Right.
It's the war starting in Lebanon. It's the politics here in France. That's your competition. That's what's taking the attention of the people away from you. And everything you post, you should keep in mind that they don't see it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they
And they
don't
will
see
never
every
tell you.
post. Yeah, no
No,
one's going to see every post. But I
no.
love what you're saying about your competition is the world because you're right. You're right. And we don't talk about this or understand this well enough, which is that yes, there's a niche that what we do is particularly interesting to, but there is not, a singular focus on what we do. So even the people who are interested in what we do and our desired audience and our target audience that might be looking for certain things, they are not going to completely ignore all of the other competition, all of the other
No.
distractions from the world itself. And so you're publishing quite a bit. You're out there quite a bit trying to get that attention. And what advice, as a closing kind of concept to give you the last word, what advice do you give people who are out there who are wanting to use ethical persuasion in the sense that, I had mentioned to you my mantra is selling the truth. So the idea of ethical persuasion is of great interest to me because I believe that the truth is all you have. The more honest you are and the more straightforward you are, the more likely you are to get the market share you're after.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give our audience of business owners and entrepreneurs?
I would say it's follow the 4 parameters of the ethical persuasion formula. We talked about the subconscious frustration. The second one is who are you? You have to know deeply who you are, because that's how you're going to resonate with people. And it will you put it very well. It will make you be honest, truthful with yourself and with them. You don't need to invent someone. You don't need to show as a killer, as the best businessman. Everyone knows that we're human beings. Human beings aren't perfect, but you are authorized to be who you are. And it's a very tough exercise to do, to know who you are. I'm not Thomas. There are many guys called Thomas, right? I'm Thomas Trautmann, but my family name comes from my ancestors. It's not me. I'm a business owner. You are a business owner. There are many business owners. It doesn't define who I am, right? I call myself, I'm the happy tribes builder because I need to create tribes. I need to make people happy in tribes. That's who I am. The third parameter is why are you doing what you are doing? You're authorized to do things because you want to make money. That's your why. My why is to get people to smile because they learn something that can help them. That's my why. And the fourth one is the tribe. We are a species that has evolved as a tribe. We live in tribes. We have many tribes. Your family is a tribe. Your daughters may be a tribe inside your family. Your sons may be another tribe. Your company is a tribe. Your church is a tribe. Your sports club is a tribe. You are either a leader or a follower in the different tribes you are part of. But we live in tribes. So when you have a tribe, nurture the tribe. Be there for them.
All right.
If you liked the show,
Yes, and
it worked for you,
yes, then
subscribe and leave a
yes, friend.
5-star review.
Yes, friend.
Tell all your friends.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Get your branding here.
Yes, friend.
Did I make it clear?
Yes, friend.
Get your branding on
Yes.
before they're gone.
Yes.